You don't want to use that word.
No.
So I'm going to take that back.
The CC.
Join 3 longtime friends who love to chat it up and have a passion for connecting women in friendship and doing life together. In a world that has disconnected from one another, we're bringing back the chat. If you would, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell here on YouTube. We'd love for you to join the chat and help us grow this channel so we can connect with more women. All right, here's today's chat. Well, congratulations everyone for making it through 2020.
We did it. We did it.
Between the isolation, the stay-at-home orders, the fear of hugging, of handshaking, Zoom meetings. Wow, we had to learn all kinds of new things. People were furloughed. We had social distancing. We had to wear masks.
Well, we still do.
Oh, it took a big toll on all of us. And so I think it'd be great for us to just say what 2020 taught us. And so, Janet, you're the one with kids at home still. What did 2020 teach you?
Well, 2020 was quite a year with having kids at home still at our age. Can you imagine girls having a 6th grader and an 8th grader?
No, as you remember, I have 3 adult children, but we do have a 6th grader and an 8th grader, but now 7th and freshman. But last year, just in a matter of a weekend, they were home.
You got to teach 6th grade.
And I became the homeschool mom. And I love teachers and I love homeschool moms, but I'm just not equipped. I'm not a homeschool mom. It was hard. It was hard. But through it all, God just showed me really quickly that He could see me through it if I leaned into Him.
Yes.
One thing that happened, though, right away is quickly the doors were knocking from my old enemies, fear and anxiety. And these gals know that that's something that I've had in my past, and just God gave me the opportunity once again to strengthen my trust muscles in Him, that I could trust Him in those circumstances. And the more I looked to the world, the more fearful I was going to get. But if I kept my eyes on Him, He was going to see me through.
Good word. Yeah.
And so I did. I started digging into His Word, praying with my family, looking for friends that could encourage me in that, and sure enough, I was able to sweep those old enemies out the door and close the door behind them.
Nice.
So that was just that He is trustworthy, and if we keep our eyes on Him, He will see us through.
Yes.
I love your illustration of muscles, because God brings things into our lives or allows things to strengthen those particular muscles. We've all had periods of time where you feel like you're at the gym and you can't do one more rep. You can't do it. And He says one more, and then you find out later in life of the strength. Because there are times when I think, I made it through that, so I know I can do this.
Yes.
This is easy compared to that, and that's why He brings the that's, I think, sometimes.
And really, even just looking back to that was like, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, oh,
Hey, she went to 7th grade.
yeah. Hey, I helped her graduate.
From 6th grade.
And then just another thing that was just such a great reminder for me is the simple things. Just the simple life is so much better than the rat wheels that we get ourselves
Kind of
on.
went back to Little House on the Prairie.
Yes. Just playing games, talking, being together. It just was beautiful.
Yes.
And I really love that. I love simplicity of life. And so, and really we're still in a lot of that, but I cherish it. I'm not looking back to go back to all that busyness.
Right.
Well, it is true. 2021 hasn't really changed that much in February where we are. So it's a good point.
It's all
And
good.
you got your husband home 24/7.
Yes. And that has been a silver lining.
Oh, yes.
Because my husband has always traveled all the time.
Yeah.
And he's also a workhorse. He always works 6 to 6, 6 to 6:30. And yet today he's home, and he's been home for 11 months, and he's still working.
Yes.
But we see each other periodically throughout the day. There's no commute. That's just been awesome.
Yeah.
So lots of good stuff.
Yeah,
Lots of good stuff.
And take those, Eric and I were just talking about it, getting out in the middle of the day for a 10-minute walk down the block.
We do that every day.
Now that all the snow's almost melted, it's like, yeah, we got to do that and help them to like pull them out of their cave to go get some fresh air. And
that's been really fun.
So we get to be helpmates.
Yes. It's been awesome. What about you, Cindy? What'd you learn?
Oh, well, 2020 was really hard on us, my husband and I personally, because we lost 95% of our business. And
it is hard.
You know, even came close to closing. And, you know, you get close to retirement and that's all your security. And so my faith really grew because I really had nothing else to cling to except God's word and the scripture and his promises. So I'm so thankful for that time that we grew closer to him, and our prayer, you know, we cried out to him, and the Psalms meant so much to me during this time. And another thing was, don't take your family and friends for granted.
No, that's right.
With all of this, you know, stay-at-home orders and fear of, you know, being together and hugging and sharing life and holidays. I mean, just all of those things became so much more precious because we usually just take them for granted because we're on this treadmill of a busy life. And that all slowed down, and we had time to really think. And then probably the last thing for me, you guys know I like to cook. And so I was doing 3 meals a day, which was kind of shocking, but in another way, it was really neat, except for the problem of going to the grocery store and the grocery delivery and all that stuff that was so unusual. I got a new appliance at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was an air fryer.
Oh yeah, I got one too.
I don't have one, but I want one.
Okay, well, it
I
is
haven't
my
used mine.
total new kitchen gadget. It is awesome.
Well, tell us more.
Well, it just makes incredible food, and it's healthy. People think air fryer like you're deep frying things, but you're not. You just spray a little bit of avocado oil or olive oil on it and put it in there, and it's amazing meats and potatoes and hors d'oeuvres, and I mean,
well, you'll have
do
to show
dessert.
us.
Yeah,
You're going to have to
I
do a
would
little
be happy
demo.
to.
We are going to
We
do
need
a
a demo.
demo.
Okay.
We're going to do a series because she's going to make a main course, a dessert. What else?
well.
What else can you do with it?
Well, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
So anyway, I can honestly say I would not be the person I am today without 2020. So the silver linings in that, I lost my father in this fall in Florida, and thankfully they were a little looser, and all 5 of us children could be with him his last week in the hospital, and so it was such a blessing, and he's in heaven. I know I'm going to see him again. So that's you know, been some of the other silver lining for me. But yeah, Molly, what did it teach you?
I didn't have as many probably events. I pulled my business, remodeled that, pulled it out of brick and mortar, brought it home. That was a silver lining because then, like I said before, I kind of have a life now, so I'm not glued to the store, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
But it was kind of more of a, like when you came up with this question, what did it teach you? That's different than what happened.
Right.
And I think we can all benefit from saying, what did it teach me? And sit quietly for a few minutes and jot some things down. I encourage you all to do that are listening. But one thing was, number one, I got 3 points. Number one, nothing was making sense to me.
Yes.
Nothing. And so I began to, my husband and I went out to see my folks in January before we knew anything was happening, and had some great discussions with them. And then our eyes were continued to be open. And actually, Eric and I had the flu in February, so we were on our backs on the couch.
Wow.
And we started just watching all kinds of different information and learning so much of what maybe history we missed, what maybe wasn't making sense not only in that year 2020 but previously. So I would encourage everyone, if it doesn't make sense to you still, it's great to learn critical thinking and logical thinking. And I'm kind of a skeptical person, so I kind of run on those lines anyway.
Yes, you do.
And
That's why we call you sassy.
And I kind of, you've got into this whole research thing, which I'm not normally such a studier, but really felt the Lord was just pushing me the more and more. So anyway, think logically, think critically, and I think good things are going to be coming. Yes. And then, so in all of that, in all that I was learning and talking to other people and finding other people, like Cindy, like you invited me into a whole other group of women, which was awesome. Yes. Began to really ask the Lord for wisdom. We need wisdom in today's world. Always we need wisdom. But he says in James to ask for that, and he will give it liberally. He wants to give us wisdom. Yes. And that is ultimately discernment in the issues of life. Yes. So if you read James 1:5-8, he tells us to ask, but ask in faith without doubting, because if we doubt, then we become double-minded, and I would see people just ping-ponging all over the place. And you have to sometimes make mental decisions on the truth that you know about God first. All truth is based in his word and himself. And, base yourself in that and pick a side. Pick a lane in your thinking. And I think we've talked about that too, about like positive. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? Janet, we were talking earlier.
Yeah. What was that thing you said that you say in the shower?
I feel good. I feel fine. I feel this way all the time. I'm alive. I'm awake, and I feel great.
Hey, you start saying it. You're going to start believing it. Do it.
It's awesome. And that is like the story you're telling yourself. Yeah. It's so true. We have got to think positively and think bigger picture and all of that. So the last thing that we were not created to social distance.
No.
We know that.
And this is what we need.
Yes. And this whole thing that we're doing right here is born out of that. Yes. That's a false narrative. And we need each other. God created us for one another. He created us for relationship with him first, which is a gift of salvation through Jesus, and then for one another. Yes. For if you're married, be your helpmate for your husband, to be there for your kids, be there for your neighbors and other women that you might meet in your family.
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
Those are my 3 points.
Great.
Yes,
Awesome.
Well, we just want to challenge you to really take a few minutes and think about how 2020 changed you, maybe what it taught you, and reach out to somebody. People are lonely. Give them a call. Write them a note. Invite them over for a cup of coffee. People need to hear from you. Next up, we're going to talk about friendship. So we'll see you on the next one.